Hey beloveds, it's time for us to call a truce, family, for real. It's time for a truce between men and women. I'm so exasperated. I don't even know where to begin. I have so much information in my head that I've been gathering for some months now, because almost everybody who are creating pages and platforms, they're talking about relationships. So that goes to show just how important relationships are. And the relationships that are being discussed is not so much parent and children, but it's couples, men and women, the relationships between women and men, right? And what I notice is that a lot of people are not being fair, what you would call impartial. They're either focusing on women or they're focusing on men. And I don't like it, because I think I know we both need to be held accountable. It takes two to get together and win, right? At this relationship thing. So two people can fail at a relationship and two people can win at it. So it's on both of us. Everybody has to have accountability. Now, what I do get and I like is that a lot of focus is on women and their messed up behaviors, because we never pointed that out back in the day. We were always pointing out what men did wrong. He did this, he ain't that, he ain't this. And women are getting worse than men. I gotta say it, sisters. We getting worse. We are just letting it all hang out. Now, let's get back to this importance of relationships. I want to say this, because this is really crucial. I remember seeing a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, where somebody said, I want to have a relationship like our grandparents and our great-grandparents did. And then somebody came on there and said, what, with the man controlling her, she couldn't go nowhere because he had all the money and he was beating her? And I'm like, because we forgot about that, right? We forgot about how callous and hard and coarse and mean and controlling and abusive men were to their wives. And that once you went that man and you started having children, you had nothing else. You couldn't go anywhere else, and you sure couldn't go home back to your father, because your dad felt the same way your crazy husband was feeling. So a lot of men were in position of power in the wrong ways. I'm going to explain, I'm going to sum all of this up at the end, because this is important. This is very important. Men were horrible. And I'm talking men of all races. It was not just us. All men were brutes to their women. Some of them still are in certain cultures. Look at the Islam community with the Arabs. The women get raped. She's the one that's at fault for it. Even in Africa, a woman get raped, the husband leaves her because she's defiled now. So men still have this old, brutish way of handling women. And so here we go with the feminism. A lot of women cleave to that due to the fact that it seems as though we got a little more freedom and more rights with this feminism thing being pushed, right? I'm against feminism. I'm not for it. But I get it. I'm a woman. And when my marriage didn't go right, when it failed, I didn't have very many finances, nor did I have a college education, nor did I have a great job. So I get it. My grandmother, who was considered old-fashioned, right? She said to all the women in the family, all the girls, she told all of us, get your education. She never discouraged marriage. She was all for it. But she said, get your education just in case. Get a good job. Get something under your belt just in case you have to take care of yourself. And a young lady yesterday, I ran across a forum of the young black people talking. And she said, why y'all think that we can't be good wives? Because we're educated and because we have our own. We had to do that. And she is right. When a man leaves you, what do you have to fall back on? And I was proof of that. My grandmother was proof of that. And she pushed that we all did that. And some of us didn't listen, I got married very early. I got married at 19 and 6 months later pregnant. I had nothing under my belt but my high school diploma, and I went to data entry school. I had a little data entry. Had that. I knew how to type. Basic stuff. But I didn't work, until my daughter was a little older. Then I had a second daughter. So I really had no experience. So when he did leave, I really still needed to depend on him, you know? And so it looks bad, you know, when a woman says, oh, I'm educated and I got a job, because you guys think that they just want to be separate from you. We don't, but there are women who do. They call themselves independent. No, I like to be codependent. We can do this together, and it would be much better if we're both bringing in the funds. It just makes life a little easier, doesn't it? Now, whatever arrangement a couple has, that's personal to each relationship, right? But what I'm saying is, she's right. She made a good point as far as, what if he dies? What if he goes to jail? Like, you know, the what ifs are plenty. You know, we don't want to think like that. We all want to have this fairy tale ideal of everything's going to be all right. But life does not present things to us like that all the time, family. Things happen. Hiccups go down. And then we down and out as a mom, you know, with children. And nothing to survive off of. So this person comes right out in front of me and didn't even bother speeding up. I'm going a certain speed, just come out in front of me. Back to the subject. So back to Grandpa, who was on there proudly proclaiming how he slapped his wife when he wanted to. If she said something out of line to him, how he slapped her in the face because she's not going to be talking to him any old kind of way. And how he had a lover on the side that she knew about, but what could she do about it? He was laughing because he said she wasn't going back to her father. That's a disgrace. They were African. That was a disgrace, right? Once you have a husband, you don't go back home. That's your new home. So this man was in a position where he could abuse her, take advantage of her, mistreat her, and go outside his marriage. Wow. So he was an older gentleman. So that people kept saying that, you know, we don't want the old school relationship because those men used to beat our women. Now, let's call a truce, family. Let's call a truce. I done vomited up all of that stuff and my point of view. But guess whose point of view matters the most? Y'all know where I'm going, for those of you who believe in the Most High God who created marriage. Family, we got to get our minds right, because we are in fight mode. We can't come together and gel the way we ought to. First of all, we're not doing our part in our relationship with the Most High God. So if that major relationship is not where it's supposed to be, our other relationships are going to fail. Point blank, period. That is a fact. It is not my opinion. If you guys just look at what's going on around us, everybody's fighting each other. When we're at a greater war, we have a bigger war going on that nobody is paying attention to. The destruction, dismantling of family is going on. Satan hates it. Y'all better get this wisdom. Open up your Bible. Find out what it is the Lord says. I've even had women say, oh, the women in the Bible were mistreated too. Y'all don't have a clue about what's in that Bible, because that's not true. I had to swallow that when somebody told me that years ago, because I didn't have the facts. Now that I've studied the Bible and I understand what's in it, and I actually read it, so I see what direction God is going to when he has women being submissive to their husband, and how he says that a wife is a beautiful thing to find. She's a treasure beyond rubies. A virtuous woman, a wife, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So there was no abusing your wife. There was no mistreating her. She was special. She was a gem. She was a prize. She was a pride. She was a joy for a man, a righteous man who himself is submissive to the Most High God, and therefore the wife has no problem being submissive unto him. Now, that submission that sticks in your head that makes you feel like he ain't gonna be treating me like a slave, that was because those brutish, ungodly men who treated their wives unkindly, unfairly, they were of the devil. We're gonna call a truce, family. We're gonna stop pointing a finger at the opposite sex and look in the mirror and get it right. This is like crazy. But it's so important to discuss. So it's being discussed in all sorts of platforms, but nobody's coming with the God part. That's the thing that's blowing my mind. Everybody's coming up with a conclusion and their own opinion about what should be done and who should do this. But God done said what we should do. It's in his word. Old school, way back in the day. You think Adam was beating on Eve? You think Abraham was beating on Sarah? These men considered their wives a helpmeet. So much to the point where when Adam and Eve was initially created, they were equal. The Most High God put us under the man because the woman led the man astray. He allowed his wife to lead him astray. Okay? So there wasn't him dominating over her. I want to put that out there because nobody is touching on this. And if they are, I haven't run across their page. It's a big world. I'm sure there are people who are of God who are giving the spin of marriage, the biblical approach to marriage, you know? But I haven't seen it. And these people who have big platforms, they keep criticizing the opposite sex. Even women are knocking women down. I'm not going to say knocking women down because there is information that needs to be had. We are very unwise and unknowledgeable about a lot of things. And most human beings, because of sin, we tend to point the finger elsewhere. We love deflecting. We don't want to look at ourselves. You, not me, because I'm perfect. And that's for men and women. And the narrative that men are coming out with these platforms, sir, would you please move? Golly gee whiz, he's driving so slow. The light is green. Probably driving 20 miles per hour. Look at that person behind me that went around, throwing me off my focus here. These men with this narrative, okay, this must be an old person. Let me go around. Gotta turn on the left. I'm trying not to go over here. But this narrative of, oh, you women opening up your legs and being a single mom, it's because of you that the children are messed up and the children are being raised in a one parent home and blah blah blah. I get it. Women, we hold the power. I get it. Keep your legs closed until marriage. These things wouldn't happen. But because of sin and this feminism movement and this praise of high body counts, everybody's running around sleeping with one another. And so this is the problem that we're having in our communities with this lust, breaking God's command. And honey, like I said, once Eve convinced her man to eat of that tree, is this my okay? Once she convinced him to eat of that tree, the Most High then put her in submission to her man. That man must obey God to keep in line, and his wife must obey him to keep in line, right? And so, guess what? That man is in leadership now. Men are not in their rightful positions. In a royal kingdom, there's king and queen. We all know king is on top. The king trumps the queen. We all know that. So, come on, sir, I can't see. I'm going out here. Woo, like I'm okay. The king trumps the queen. So if you're running around here calling women hoes, complaining about them having children outside of wedlock, they're not doing that alone. They're consummating with you, dude. You're spilling your seed in that woman and you taking it upon yourself to do it just for the pleasure of it, not considering that making love is for procreation. And when she gets pregnant, you know you didn't want her to be your wife nor your baby mama, but she's pregnant now and you bounce like a punk. And now you want to put all of that responsibility on the woman. Heck to the no. You think God is going to let you get away with that? You think you're going to slide with that type of behavior? Men are not in their rightful places, and that's why the world is screwed up. Y'all better know that. Men are not in their proper position. Homes are ran without men in it, without our protectors and our providers. Women are tired, they're stressed, they're lonely, they're sad, and they're going crazy without the man in place. The children are going crazy too. If you are not doing the right thing by God, you cannot do the right thing by other people. And we are so busy pointing fingers. We're not looking in the mirror to fix what is jacked up, messed up, broken about ourselves. We want to point the finger. Remember when you pointing, what's going on? All fours are going right back to you, the thumb included, when you doing this. That's an old-fashioned corny thing, but it's the truth. Why you busy? You. No, it's you. You. Fix yourself. That's the only thing we can do, is work on ourselves. We can't make another person do anything. Information about how to have better relationships are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, they have their place. But then when people start inserting their own opinions about what should happen, and God is not put in place, because he already ordained marriage. He already told us how we should treat one another. A man should lay down his life for his wife like Christ laid down his life for the church. A woman ought to respect her man. You don't treat your man like a child. You don't talk to him any old kind of way, be all up in his face, cussing at him, mushing his head, calling him P-U-S-S-Y, calling him B-I-T-C-H. We are both out of line. Men and women are out of line. Don't know your positions. And this is why our communities are filled with single mothers raising children under pressure and stress to get a job, to get an education. So when that man leaves her, she don't have to depend on the government. We got a lot on our shoulders. When you brothers walk out, when you leave us high and dry for Satan to come in and destroy us and ruin us and the children. Y'all better get it. Y'all better get it. So while y'all listening to all these gurus, when they not putting God in that message, it's going to be a fail. We need to call a truce, family. It's time to call a truce. Come under the Most High God and do things his way, because it's his way or no way at all. We are suffering in our communities. Open your eyes. Check it out. We are suffering in our communities. It's time to call a truce. Peace, love, and blessings, family.